All right. Well, welcome everybody. Good to see everyone. Let's see. We have the proposed agenda, which I will share on my screen. But as usual, if anybody has any other proposed items, feel free to mention them now or anytime we got a lull in the meeting. Let's see. So we have Fabian is bumping up his number of roles by one. You were the chief architect before, but now also the TST representative to the governance board. Nate Foster stepped down from that role the end of last year. Congratulations, Fabian.
Thank you. I appreciate the confidence. I was not aware for a while, but it's nice. Um, why not?
I mean, I think you have attended one combined TST governance board meeting now, so you know the
Yeah,
what it's it's a lot like the TST meetings, except we talk more about like how to get people to be members and what to do with the money.
yeah, makes sense.
All right. Any questions, comments on that?
Congrats. And yeah, awesome. Thank you for stepping up.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Uh, I believe so. If Billy and David are here, great. Anything you'd like to say about the Google Summer of Code application or other process?
I would say finger crossed for the outcome of the submission. We got seven-ish project ideas at the moment. Maybe they're going to be a bit more or a bit less, but and if you want to take a look, some of them are very interesting. So
So, would
let's
you mind adding a link to the, if you can, can you edit the meeting notes?
Yeah, sure, of course, I'm
You don't
going to
mind
do
just, you
that.
can add a link to the meeting notes.
Just a heads up, Andy. So we have our agenda here, but I started notes a little further down
Oh, got it.
for adding
Meeting notes. There
additional
we go.
things. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So maybe if you want to add it down there in the meeting notes, David,
Yeah.
that'd be great. Thank you. And I imagine those are all like in the GSOC GitHub repo probably.
Yes,
All right.
correct.
So these are ideas mainly from mentors and people. Are there outside submission ideas from potential applicants or mainly from mentors, or where are the ideas from so far?
Uh, Wait, can you say again? Sorry, Andy.
Oh, no problem. The ideas, the seven-ish ideas, are they from potential applicants if we are in Google Summer of Code? Are they from mentors
Are
or
from mentors.
okay?
I put the link in chat. There are from yeah, mentors. Let's say from the community and people that are around the community, but you don't see that much in uh, I don't know, the working groups and something like that. Uh, we managed to involve some people that joined the P4 Developer Days, like Minggu Ma, that last year presented the P4 SIM, and this year presented a follow-up work. Um, Jashin Lin, that she presented a work of Alkali, which is a compiler, and that she developed. She did, I think, a publication in uh, I forget it. No, in an important conference, and she want to let's say make it available.
NSDI.
Yeah. Thank you, Fabian. I don't know why I got in my mind nines, and keep
Yeah.
going to think about it. And she want to basically make this compiler support the P4 language. And then I think a researcher of or a colleague of uh, Noah Zimmerman from Oxford proposed a project to, like, I would say, reshape or improve P4 PI or P4 Pi, I think. if the spelling is correct.
It was called Papi.
Yeah, Papi, yeah. And then we got also a GSOC project from Japan. Uh, Thanks to we reach out the before Japan users, and one of the user decided to propose a project. And basically, if I remember well, they want to use P4 for internal communication among PCI Express, I think, if I remember well. And then the KAIS group present a project for SpecTech. And yeah, also the guys from P40C present a project. And also Matthew present a project to restructure a bit the BMV2, if is it correct say that. So those are more or less all the project and the ideas. It might be that also Raul Hada is going to present something uh, from, let's say, as a project, but I don't know yet. That's it, more or less.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, and in general, the quality of these projects is like measurably higher, at least the proposals, compared to the last years. And yeah, a lot of this goes to Davide. Thank you for basically soliciting these ideas from folks. So excited to see what we're gonna do and what kind of students we get.
Yeah.
I just curious. Sorry, sometimes I sound like a broken record talking about GSOC proposals, but I'm hoping that some of the people proposing the ideas are willing to be mentors if the project is accepted.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
of them.
Yeah, exactly. Basically what you see in the idea list are, let's say, people that are committed to be mentors, primary or secondary mentors, and those are the project proposal, and then the list can be, of course, hopefully extended. I have to add another mentor because a PhD student from Shabbat's accepted to be a second mentor for the PCI Express project. But this is kind of a draft that we have to present, and it's let's say the baseline for the evaluation of the submission, together some the description of the what is it before consortium, I mean description, and they wanted to know also some something related to the student from the previous years. So that's it,
And I
more or
guess
less.
and I guess hopefully it's if it's not understood already, it'd be great to encourage mentors to be willing to be code reviewers for any submissions on the GitHub projects that are any GitHub projects that might be modified. That's one of the
Yeah.
biggest that could be a big time commitment, but also one of the most important to have in order to get commits in. Great. Any other comments or questions on GSOC for this year? I guess we hear back mid-February.
Yes, the 19th of February is going to be. Uh, I went to FOSDEM. I managed to meet Ryan. I didn't manage to catch up with Radostin. And we both went to the GSOC meetup. The only thing that I can say that probably this year they are going to do the summit again in Munich, but they're thinking about it. That's it, more or less.
Okay.
All right. We should go on to the next one, which I believe this I've forgotten the origin of, we talked about the use of AI generated tooling on last year's GSOC, and there was, I think, kind of a policy written by folks working by one or more GSOC mentors to kind of talk about for GSOC specifically what the acceptable use of AI generated tooling was, uh, code generated from a particular. Um, I believe this might be a more general question about a position on all P4 projects. Is that right, Michelle? That this was raised by Aleph, perhaps, or is that the origin of this?
No, David, I think had brought it up,
So
that if
I I can provide some context.
Good.
perfect, please do.
So essentially, what's happening is a lot of other organizations are adopting a general policy they can point to when trying to handle pull requests or like contributions from folks. Because what you may have noticed, Andy, that we get a lot of drive-by PRs with AI, so-called AI slop, basically just generated stuff, and you have to deal with it. Sometimes you have to deal with it. And what people do and these organizations do is they basically just enshrine a policy where they can just point to the policy saying that you're violating it and that basically that you don't have to, like the reviewers are not obliged to review it. And also just in general, it gives you based on a general set of contribution rules that people can follow and you can point to automatically. The reason this comes up now is because with GSOC, there's a lot of folks that try to, well, use AI tools and it's just a bother. And so the consideration was to have a general policy to do this. This
Not
is
just
partially requested by Anton and the MLIR folks because for some reason, all the like there's a lot of these PRs being opened on their repo, and they actually take time to review it, and they're getting increasingly annoyed. And they just want to have a policy that we can have. Now, there's a question on whether this, there was a discussion whether this is done on the LF level or the P4 level or like on a local repo level. And so
Yep.
we're thinking we can do this on the P4 level, but then we would need to add that part of the governance or some sort of document somewhere. There was wait, I can share the discussion because I don't
Out
think
of, out of curiosity, on the MLI P4 MLIR incubator project, were they reviewing them because they couldn't, it wasn't easy to determine that it was AI generated content, or they felt like they just wanted to honor the,
it's the later. They try to honor it, but they have a
yeah,
style where they actually have issues, and these issues enshrine like past, etc. And so what ends up happening is someone picks up these tasks and suddenly generates some stuff, and
yep,
then they actually take a look at it, etc. And they would just like to have a general policy they can point to,
got
saying
it.
that they
Yeah,
don't have to review.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand it. I think it's sometimes quite nuanced, right? You want to be
Yeah.
respectful of the contribution,
Yes.
but you realize that someone spent less time on the contribution than you are spending on reviewing it, and that doesn't scale, right? But you
Yeah.
don't want to be rude, and so I think it's very helpful to have. I mean, it's not so easy to explain why this doesn't work and why it doesn't scale, right? And so it's
Yeah,
good to
yeah.
be able to point to something and establish.
I think you're it's human time is the limiting factor, and that's
Yeah,
the shortest explanation. And I've seen this issue comes up with teachers reviewing submitted essays and papers and things like that too. It's like, do you want to spend hours reviewing a student's paper when they spent, 15 minutes generating it? And
Maybe you need to ask AI to review the code. That's
well, but or ask them to try harder. So
I mean,
like,
this is
did
this
you write this code by any chance? Oh, yes.
getting off topic, but I mean, I am curious if there will be eventually code bases where they are written and reviewed by AI, and this will be an interesting experiment. But for now,
yeah,
I guess
Yeah.
we are not one of those projects, at least for the time being, right? So,
agreed. So,
and we're not ready to make that jump.
Well, like, for example, I would say that looking at the GSOC, right, where they talk about changing BMV2, making it more up to Google's coding standards, replacing CMake with Bazel. That's actually a perfect job for AI. I'm not sure you really need to spend human time on that. So
100%. I agree. This is a great job for AI, but generally you still need a human in the loop to drive it, right? So, but yeah, it becomes more of a I don't know, how do
well,
we call that role nowadays?
I
Yeah.
think that's what you're saying, right? And I actually think that's the most important thing. It's not whether AI was doing it or not, it's whether, there was a human by the steering wheel, right? And so how to figure that part out, that's the most difficult piece, right? But I think if there it was driven by a human and AI was just helping, I mean, what's the problem?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
I think we still need this accountability piece, right? Where a human, there's like a reputation attached to you in some way or another, even if you're a first-time contributor, right? But it's kind of
Sure.
important. And so a human needs to kind of stand in for that contribution. And if they keep making bad contributions, it goes towards their reputation in
But
some way.
practically
Yeah.
speaking, how do we want to word that stuff so that we we can get the good contributions
I
and
think the good news is Fabian, maybe you know better, but I know that a lot of people are thinking about this stuff. And so probably we can take, like, people have thought about this stuff pretty deeply, right? And so probably we can
Yes.
take something existing here.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I linked the discussion we had, and there's already a template by LLVM which uses that exact phrase, human in the loop, right? So they also have that requirement. They have all these rules around it, and we can just adopt a simpler version of it.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, where
And
LLVM is a little bit stricter. For example, I know you at P4 Runtime are using like Jules or something. They even disallow tools like that. So we can
Mhm.
be a little more lenient. We can have like AI reviewers, etc. I don't care about that mostly. I think that's fine. But that's exactly what we need to do. Just to have a little small discussion. It's just hard to find a forum to really discuss this in the sense of like we're currently discussing that in an issue on the P4 compiler. But where do we put this policy? Um, where do we point to it, etc.? It's not very centralized.
We do have a wiki on the in GitHub where we've put the other governance documents, which
Yeah,
that's
we can put
pretty
it there, I
available.
think. Yeah.
There is an LF policy on generative AI. It's pretty broad strokes, but that's also something that could be adapted or even just pointed to.
Yeah, as long as you have it, and we can easily point to it in some form, that's good. I
Perhaps.
think for GSoC we just did an emergency thing where we just had some rules, and that's good enough for now. But
Mm.
so it
Yeah, it
seems
might be
like
worth to point out. I mean, I expect that these things, I mean, it's a very evolving situation, right?
yeah,
I think in 5 years we'll have figured all of this out, but maybe worth pointing out that this policy is sort of expected to evolve over time or something like this. So we
okay.
don't. Yeah.
Is there someone who's willing to take the action to kind of review this policy, review the GSOC one, and maybe like draft a proposed P4 policy that we can then review?
I guess I can do this, together with Anton and maybe Davide, since we are the most affected by it.
And
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
And then we'll present it, the link to the next yeah, and ChatGPT can help us.
so
Uh,
I guess sort of baseline is we need to make sure that uh, code contributions can be licensed under the appropriate license, usually Apache 2 for most code.
that's in
We're a little more
almost
lenient about that,
impossible.
maybe.
Like in the sense of, unless you mean like you're pulling in dependencies that are not licensed, but if you have like anonymized code, it's impossible to tell its source, right? Is or
I mean,
is
for build like for Bazel, whatever, the appropriate, make file equivalent for Bazel. For
yeah.
build and some test, we've already got a little bit of GPL code in some
I
test,
see. Okay.
a small amount
Ah,
of
I
test.
see.
Maybe build is also similarly, less. We don't need to be so militant about Apache 2 on the build files, make files, things like that. Perhaps I don't know.
But that's a separate issue that would also come up in a general pull request, right? that we have the same problem. If someone adds in GPL code in a general PR, we also still have to reject that or like make
Right.
sure we catch it. My thought
But
was when you have Gen AI that you have like proprietary code that you expose, but that's
sure.
yeah.
I mean, if there's a human writing the code, then it's up to them to say, you kind of have to trust them and say, you're not copying this from other sources, and you
Yeah.
agree to put this under this license. Um, I just wanted to mention the issue is whatever policy we have should probably at least some brief mention or paragraph on ensuring we keep the desired license on the project.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
That's not to say the biggest issue. It's just sort of one that I and one aspect or facet of this that I wanted to mention.
Yeah. But the onus falls on us to reject that PR anyway, or whoever owns that repo, right? So
Yeah.
it's still our responsibility.
And I think, if you have like some introductory paragraph that says like, we want to respect the time of people, reviewing code takes a lot, and maintaining projects takes a lot of time and effort, and we want
Yeah.
to respect our time as well as the submitters
Yes.
is
But
is a
for
nice sort of.
GSoC, I actually recently added that if you make a PR and you abandon it, or like you don't, you just it's a drive-by PR that will negatively affect your application.
I see.
So to
But
preempt this stuff, hopefully,
sure. Anyway, looking forward to yeah, that I looked briefly at the LF policy, and it looks like it doesn't touch on a couple of the topics that you'd like specifically for GSOC and the issues you're seeing with the incubator project. So be good to uh, looking forward to whatever you come up with for fleshing that out more. It'd be good to be consistent with the LF policy if that doesn't become an issue.
yeah.
All right. Well, let us know any progress you make on that, but we can hopefully bring that up next month if you have any progress to report, if not before.
Yeah, I'll try to aim for something next month, and then we can say yes, no, good enough, and then we put it there.
Okay. Yep. And so I think it's definitely worth. I think we can agree. Is it sounds like this is enough interesting to enough people that spending a little time at future TSD meetings reviewing whatever you propose is worth doing. So you can trust that there'll be humans reviewing your proposal this time.
How would you
Unless it
know? We have
unless
humans
it's
here and
37
not
pages
avatars.
long. Don't make it 37 pages long. All right. Anything sounds like we might be done with that one, but any last comments on the AI generated tooling policies? Okay. So 2026 P4 workshop. It's now been what, 3 to 4 months since the last one, so people involved can maybe breathe a sigh that that one's done now, and we can look forward to the next one. Michelle, did you want to talk about anything top of mind for you? Questions on this?
We've talked about it at the governing board level. I can't recall, and I apologize if we already did talk about it at this level, of whether folks thought having the workshop last year in conjunction with OCP Global Summit in San Jose was a good fit, and if that's something this group thinks we should try to do again.
The two top of mind comments I have are um, it was nice to be, close to OCP and be able to. I mean, I was at we had a booth, and there was some nice conversations I had at the booth with various folks. It was nice seeing a lot of unfamiliar faces at many of the talks that we had for the P4 workshop as well. That's one of the reasons we did it, and I think we did fill the room a few times. Um, the main downside I heard, or thing that'd be nice to change in the future, would be, you know, trying to arrange to have some kind of uh, hallway track time or explicit, not even hallway track time, but like hallway track time, there was no talks going on, but it was explicitly everybody interested in the workshop could meet around a beer or snacks or something like that and not have a talk going on. There was about 45 minutes to an hour of that afterwards, but after the last talk, a lot of people left to go to a OCP keynote that were less interested. It'd be nice if there was some unstructured socializing time that we could put into the schedule if possible.
Yeah.
I would also think that the OCP price is pretty expensive, and so that probably was discouraging many academic participants. There were very few compared to last year's, and everything was very rushed. So I don't think we really had any uh, time. Like, we had like very strict timing for all the presentations, and like compared to all the previous workshops, I think that was really the least substantive one, and like by far.
So
So
I will just throw in there that we had a bunch of complimentary passes and we had actually had a hard time giving them away. And we had put it out there multiple times on different channels that we had passes available specifically
Do
for
you
students
remember?
or folks who couldn't afford to pay the cost. I think it was, I don't know if it was like,
It was like 20 or something?
oh,
24?
yeah, we had something like 24 because between the booth and the workshop, we got quite a few. And I think Denise maybe managed to give all of them away, but like the last one we gave away like the day before to like to like a member company person. So there were free, we got quite a few free passes and we did offer them to anybody who couldn't
So we did end up
get their
using all of
school
our
or
free passes, but it came right down to the wire to find takers.
yeah, so I don't know, Vladimir, if there's like the additional piece of like getting travel covered maybe for some folks was harder last year. So even if we were able to offer them like a complimentary ticket, we didn't have budget to cover like to do travel scholarships that we've
um,
done in the past, I think.
that's difficult to say without being in the loop, obviously, and it's not clear to me uh, whether how well did we advertise the free passes. But fact is that there were very few academic participants, at least the way I could tell. That was number one, and second, the actual time we spent together was probably one half compared to what we would spend even in the previous year, right? When was it hosted by Google? And it was like four times less compared to when it was hosted by Stanford. So that's for
But
sure.
yeah, but even in Google, the attendance of the crowd was materially different, which they were like a year apart.
Yes.
So
And by the way, that was also like when the price was raised. But like Google, there were like a lot of other things. I mean, obviously contributing to just where like the overall state of the project, obviously, right?
yeah.
Uh, those were the times when, it became clear that Tofino is kind of going, not going to be around for longer and things like that. But anyhow, if you ask me, I would probably say that, staying nearby, not on site, would probably be a better idea. But
My question is, we had full talks, we had a lot of people. What is the conversion rate in terms of like engagement from that crowd? I mean, Mandy, you can maybe point to it in terms of con or Michelle, just are trying to understand what the impact was for us to have it at OCP, like people that learned about it, maybe that reached out to us, uh, percolating that information. It wasn't quite clear to me.
So, I
Yeah,
mean, go
it was
ahead.
a little bit difficult to track conversions.
Yeah,
We don't have that kind of marketing analytics support, unfortunately.
yeah,
We did have I'm pulling up Denise's post-event report that she put together. We did have 385 unique lead scans. So that was the other caveat with hosting it with OCP is we didn't get like a list of the registrants because it wasn't an extra like add-on event. Instead, we had
Hmm.
a lead scanner, so we were just scanning people's badges as they came in and out of the room. So we did get 385 unique leads from that. Denise sent out an email that was essentially just like, thanks for coming to the P4 workshop. Here's links to all this additional info if you want to get involved. Um, so it's a little bit tough to kind of tell. That is the downside with like having to work with a limited budget, right? Like
Hmm.
versus like doing a standalone event. But again, a standalone event also is expensive because we have to pay for everything ourselves. So,
Maybe one more question. Do we have any data on the pre-recorded talks and what the engagement there is?
we don't because Denise gave her notice in November, and that's out of scope for me. So we are trying to hire a marketing gal right now.
Hmm.
Our contract process got a little bit stuck, and so it's taking longer than I had hoped, but it should hopefully be done soon. And that can be something that we ask her to do because that's pretty easy for her to go. It's all on a playlist on YouTube. Someone just needs to go and actually like look at the numbers and pull together some stats. And so she should be able to do that once she's officially onboarded.
Yeah, I guess the reason I'm asking, but I know this is highly subjective, so that's why data would be very useful, is I guess I'm a bit worried about the number of talk slots that we were able to offer, like online talks. I would expect that the giving a talk sort of sorry, in-person talk, that is a lot more attractive, but that might also be my personal bias. So I don't know.
Yeah, and that part of the reason we offered the like kind of did a hybrid format was because we only had a half day slot, right? So we
Yeah,
had like 3.5 hours. And
yeah.
we also knew or assumed that there would be a substantial chunk of our community who wouldn't get travel approval because we kept hearing from a lot of folks that like travel was just extremely limited. So we wanted to offer a way for folks to participate in the, and I do still think that there's value in the pre-recorded talks. Um, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't potentially ask for a full day workshop at OCP if we're going to do it with them again, so that we really can maximize a larger agenda and for the folks who attend and add in a lunch that can be a networking piece. And so I think there's ways to do it again. OCP just has very limited workshop slots. And so that's the other piece is like we won't find out what has been accepted until spring. Usually like May or June is when they let us know. So the timing can be a little bit
I
tricky.
guess maybe we need to get a better understanding because pre-recorded talks, they basically have to compete with any kind of other videos that you can find on YouTube,
That's my thought
right?
exactly. The competition is so high nowadays, right? There's so much information out there. And so, yeah,
They were an
Yeah,
effective
whereas,
tool for promoting the event ahead of time. Like Denise started promoting those talks, and then we released them all the day of. And so they were talks that folks were able to watch while we were waiting for OCP's recording of the in-person talks that came out later. So it did allow us to have some content available the day
but
of.
like what I'm trying to say is like it's not just the talk, right? Because we get all kinds of information, but it's really the ability to interact, like at least the opportunity to interact with the person. So if the talk is interesting, you can actually figure out some more. And we even had a problem with that with the live sessions because we're so time constrained. But with the pre-recorded talks, obviously we had some pre-recorded Q&A, but obviously the questions that whoever would ask would probably be different than what a really interested person would ask themselves. So the, I mean, workshop is a workshop, right? So people, it's really, I think, for the people who are interested, who can, who have an opportunity to get together once a year and exchange all kinds of ideas, interact, and uh, right, that's what
Like,
this is about.
yeah, at the other workshops we had posters and demos, right? That were where someone hosted. Even if they didn't have a live talk slot, they could have a demo and a poster, right? And then
Assuming that they could travel, yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah, assuming that
absolutely.
you can travel. Like if you can travel, you're out of luck often. Like there's nothing.
Yeah, but
We had a few demos that were part of the pre-recorded program, and we also had a demo at the booth.
But we
but
didn't.
also
Oh, we did at the booth, right? You're correct. We had a demo at the booth, but we didn't have a like at the last. I think we didn't have the space for it. I'm assuming that weren't able to have like a dedicated sections where.
No, not for a half day. So
Yeah.
for us, that's why as a full day, we might be able to ask for that space, but not as a half day. We were a little bit more constricted. Um,
Okay.
so
but also I
Vladimir,
think
correct me if I'm
we
wrong, but it sounds like you're saying that your opinion is that the pre-recorded content is not worth the effort.
I wouldn't be that categorical, but it feels to me that it's something different, right? And also I also want to say is that when we are at the OCP, right? So people come in, they often just there's like so many things for them to see that they're like it's really difficult for them to concentrate on our topic. So I don't know. I feel that at least given given that I've been attending these workshops since 2015, uh, that one was probably uh, not the best, I'd say. And like not to reflect on all the amount of effort that you put in there and Denise put in there, but it just like it felt very, very different from anything before. That's
Yeah.
all I.
And it's not primarily the full day versus half day thing is not the your primary concern.
I think that contributed a big deal to that because, as I said, like remember how we had to time the presentations, how we were watching, how we were signaling to the presenters, and then some of
Yeah.
them were left a little bit unhappy that we kind of rushed them and so on and so forth. There was not enough time for the talks.
And lunch.
Um,
And lunch was a
there
rush.
was there was
Yeah.
no lunch was also problematic because we didn't have our food, right?
So
Like
a quick
I
question.
mean,
So imagine that we did have the opportunity, supposed that OCP granted us the opportunity to get a full day workshop co-located at the OCP Global Summit in 2026. Would that change your mind about doing it co-located with OCP or not if it were a full day with extra space inside?
I think that would have been better. But still, I think maybe we would have been better off just like doing it maybe the day before OCP, right? So that lots of people travel to OCP anyways, but we'll do it the day before or the day after.
But not officially associated with OCP, separate site somewhere
Mm-hmm.
else nearby.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but try to get the travel bump
And
from
I
people.
can tell you, like for example, in the previous years, I was doing Barefoot Academy, right, connected to before workshop. Just the week before, the week after, that worked very well.
Sure. No, I mean that's good. I mean, I think all the ideas you discussed, we really wish we'd had a full day, and that was a big discussion point among the governance board whether to accept last year's proposal for, uh, and the other one was I think the other one was, should we just do a separate day somewhere nearby the week of OCB Global Summit? But yeah, in the end we chose not to go
Yeah,
with that.
I think for this year we should definitely, if we only get a half day, we should consider other options because I don't think it's workable. But other than that,
Mhm.
yeah.
So full
Can
day
Google
OCB Global
host us
Summit.
again?
Oh, I mean, I think we actually had offers from Google and Intel last year to do a
And
similar.
Oxide. Oxide
An
too.
oxide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
guys,
Okay.
the downside is that doing a standalone event means we would have to pull in LF events to run it, and it would be just as expensive, if not more expensive, to do it that way. That's why the governing board chose to go with OCP Global.
And that was, I guess, yeah, the last year was the first year that was like the case, I believe.
Yes, because in
So
the
when,
past, Denise and I had different roles and different scope, and so we did a lot of the logistics for the event. But
They don't,
since
LF doesn't allow
moving the
that.
project over to LF, that scope has changed. We
when
are
do we not have to pull in LF? And what kind of venue do we not have to involve them? Is it, for example, an academic conference? Is it necessary there, or is it necessary at like almost any other conference other than OCP?
If you want to charge anything for attendance, you have to pull in LF events to at least some
Okay,
scope. And unless you have people from the community stepping up to drive most of the logistics, you would need to hire, like pay somebody to do the logistics, right?
I see. Okay.
So we've gotten away with OCP Global. We actually did use LF events for the CFP process and everything, but that was pretty minor. We used them the year before when we did it standalone at Intel, right? We used them for helping with the registration process and CFP process. And then Denise and I, and mostly Denise, did the remaining logistics and on-site support. When we did it at OCP staff provided all the on-site support and AV and
Yeah.
all of that. And so if we were to do it at another standalone place, we would need to use LF at least for the registration and CFP, and then depending on who would step up and help run on-site logistics and the program and speakers and all that, we may need to pull in LF events for that as well.
So we
Okay, but
have to use LF events. That's what you're saying.
LF Events has first right of refusal for any events put on by LF projects.
Okay. And so they handle the ticketing and the registration and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Just to mention that, before we go, we still have the relationship. I still have a relationship with the Eventbrite. So if that's necessary, I do have the infrastructure.
We're not allowed to
So
use Eventbrite. It's
that's,
not an approved LF tool.
I
And
see. Okay.
there's reasons for that, but they have registration
My
systems
job
that
is
they
to
use.
offer.
Yeah. No, I know, and I think it's going to depend on where we ultimately land, if it's OCP or not. The governing board, we have this on our agenda for the meeting next week to talk about as well. I also wanted to throw out here, because I know we're running low on time, that there's Open Source Summit North America and EU is offering complimentary mini summits for LF projects. It is a first come, first served basis. So if it's something we're interested in doing, we should let them know we're interested
Yeah.
sooner rather than later.
But that
It's
date is pretty tough, right? For at least North America, May 21st.
right. I think if we wanted to do that, it would almost be like a small workshop where it would be, limited,
Yeah.
much smaller in scale than the regular P4 workshop. The one thing I wanted to call out is Open Source Summit Europe. We had a hard time, I think, finding a place for Euro P4 last year and weren't able to do that, and that this might be a good option for Euro
Yeah,
P4.
that doesn't sound bad, actually. Why not?
I can
So
reply on that because so I spoke something like that about Fernando. And basically, they are looking for a academic conference, and
Mm.
which so let me start from the beginning. Why last year they didn't manage to do Europe before? Because none of the conference related to networking were in Europe. So
That's
they
right. Yeah.
proposed Europe before, and this year I think Connext is in Utrecht in the Netherlands, and I think that they are targeting that one. And why they want to have an academic conference? Because academics can, let's say, the the papers that they are going to present are registered in the uh, papers database. You get a DOI, you get published on the various uh, research, how can I say, portal. So they're looking for that.
It's also they get higher quality attendance and they get better submissions. It makes total sense why you would want to do this.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, because the OCP, I mean, you can go, okay, but at the end you do a publication, but the publication is not published in any of the tools that are recognized within the academia. So this is why I think you might lose interest to go there. You can also think a kind of hybrid approach. So you have maybe more academics that are willing to travel for the conference, and this is covered uh, by funds, or the conference might provide grants, and so you can use Europe for that, and then you can do more kind of B2B or vendor oriented in US, like having two events for P4, Europe P4 for academics, and then P4 workshop, but more vendor oriented.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Okay, well keep us posted on that, David, and um
yeah, I
But you,
for some reason
remember.
there isn't a good option that comes up, this OSS Europe might be a good backup plan.
Yeah, remember, Michelle, we had some discussions around this last year, right? Is there any way we can anticipate making this easier for them this time around? I mean, part of it was naming, part of it was events, etc. So if they would like to host an academic conference, are we able to make this work?
We were able to 2 years ago, they hosted it at, what was it, IEEE, David?
I
I
think
think,
so.
was Connex in Paris.
Yeah, so we were able to like they were able to host it there, and we just used LF events for the CFP piece of it. But because it
Okay.
was hosted in conjunction with another bigger event that handled all the registration and on-site logistics and everything, we just covered the CFP piece. So we
Okay,
can,
if that's possible, that sounds good, right?
yeah, so we can do it that way again if that works.
Okay.
And I think that you don't have also overlap, because if I remember, is in June Connext or something like that. I added in the chat the link to the notes to P4 Education,
Okay.
where they pointed out Euro P4, and then they wanted to do also workshop at SICOM for dedicated to smart NICs that they didn't manage to submit last year.
The problem is SIGCOM allows workshops on the same topics, I think 3 year in a row or something, and it depends on whether they batch that under
I
P4.
I don't remember the details. I think that they got a spot maybe last year for online only, and they
Yeah.
decided to let's say postpone. But everything is in the notes.
Next.
So just a quick verbal poll from the TST members. Does what I've highlighted on the screen here, if you can see it, sound like a reasonable summary of our recommendations to the governance board if they ask, which they will?
That
Yes.
makes
I'm just vote.
Yeah, okay. So Fabian, yes. Any other TSD members have a agree or disagree?
I also agree.
Okay. So we would basically if we're offered a half day OCB Global Summit slot, just say no and go our own way, and then talk again if they offer us a full day.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Okay. So Michelle, whenever I'll remember this too, but at the next governance board meeting, we can maybe use this as a summary of our discussion, I think, from
Yeah,
this time.
But
that works.
we should start to make alternatives a little bit more concreter during that. Maybe figure out alternative places, etc., before we end
Mhm.
up in a situation where we have to do a last minute decision
So I think
again.
we'll find out in May from OCP, and if we do it in October, like during the same week or near in date to October
Yeah.
OCP Global Summit, that still gives us we can I think probably arrange to say either Google or Intel or Oxide prearrange with saying like would you be willing to provide physical facilities in
But then
October?
the date is gonna be roughly in that ballpark, so people can anticipate it, right?
Right. I think we could look up we could probably look up the dates of the OSP Global Summit now if they've published them.
They are.
And
They're already out. So that events calendar at the top, that link a little
oh,
higher up.
yep,
Um,
this
so
one.
OCP Global is going to be October 12th through 15th this year.
Okay. And
Okay.
do you
Oh,
know?
and I do want to call out because I know we're almost out of time. I do want to call out that events calendar. I've updated it with 2026 stuff, but it would be good for folks to take a look. And if there's any additional events that you're planning on like submitting a talk to, um, I don't know what calendar that is.
What are you doing?
I just Googled October 2026 calendar. I want to know I want to know what days of the week October 12th through 16th were. That's all.
I see. Okay.
That's all I was doing. Nothing fancier than
Oh,
that.
there was a link in the P4 notes. Sorry. Um,
Yeah, no. I mean, this is just a calendar. What day of the week is the October 12th through 16th? That's the only reason I pulled this up.
Okay. Okay.
oh, I see.
So, like for example, if 12th is
Yeah.
the first day and that's like the workshop day and there's no major OCP events, that's like if we had the P4 workshop off-site separate from OC on October 12th, then like people who wanted to attend the P4, or maybe even, Sunday, the 11th or something like that. I don't know if that's workable, but anyway, probably either the beginning of this, like the beginning of the week is probably at the beginning of OSP Global Summit is probably better at the end. But if we plan it far enough advance, then anybody who wants to attend both can know. But anybody like if Google, Intel, or Oxide or anybody else wants to host space for a full day event for a P4 workshop, we could let them know, sometime during that week, probably early.
Yeah. No, I think Monday, October 12th is a good date
Yeah,
because I think that's day zero of OCP.
right. Yeah, that's the way I did it this year. So I'm
Yeah.
guessing that's what that first day is, just registration and workshops, probably half day workshops. Like this.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
We are getting close to time. Good, lively discussion. Thanks, everybody. Any
We covered
last
all
minute?
bullets. Did we forget something?
Oh, so Brian Richter is often on the schedule for updates, but I think he's been off this past month, so probably no updates.
Yeah, we should do something about this because the DevOps, the CI stuff is becoming a problem because
Oh, okay.
it's a problem now on BMB2. It's on P4 on P4C, so it's
Okay.
maybe there's a quick and dirty solution we can do.
What is
But
the, I mean, even having an updated BMV2 image
yeah.
binary that we could use that's, sometime in the last couple of months would be better than even if it was pinned at that version for months would be fine, right?
Yeah, so basically what's happening is that our CIs on Ubuntu 20.02 or other versions, they're failing because the image that was pulled in from Radostan's BMV2 is invalid. The key is broken. And so basically
Right.
all of these CI runs are failing. and they're just creating noise, and we also cannot test anymore on
I mean,
BMV2.
we're doing a lot of other testing that doesn't need BMV2 still, I think, right?
But we have one test on P4 that is the Fedora build that builds from source, so that's why we can use it. On BMV2, it's broken currently. So I told Glenn Gibb to ignore for example, he made some contributions. He's ignoring
Okay.
the failing tests.
All right. Well, we'll have to, I guess I can email Brian and see if he thinks he'll get time this coming month to dedicate to us and see if he can focus on, but like chewing gum and baling wire at this point, or just creating a fixed BMV2 binary that doesn't need to auto update is the first order of business, I would think, right? Get that
Yeah,
working.
that's the dirty solution. So maybe I'll spend some time on doing that.
Okay. I thank you. I didn't mean to sign you up for anything. But if you do, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. I think I will. Any last comments, or we can call it a day for today?
Let's call it a week.
It's a
Yes.
week. It's a week. Have a good weekend.
Good weekend, everybody.
Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.